Hi, today we'll be looking at Atari VCS. We'll be installing a few essential upgrades, tweaking a few BIOS settings, and finally installing Windows and Batocera. Windows and Batocera will be installed on a 500 gig internal drive, or new internal drive, and the original internal drive will be left untouched. What I mean is that I will install bootloaders and boot selectors on the new drive. I could install those on original drive, but it will probably all be overwritten or removed on system updates. So installing it on the new drive is the safest method. So to do the upgrades, what I'll be doing, I'll be installing RAM or replacing RAM. This is 16 gig kit. I'll put all the links in the description, by the way. This is 3200 megahertz, so slightly faster than the internal RAMs. So that should help a little bit with the performance, and we'll need to tweak BIOS to do that, which we'll do. You'll need an SSD drive. This is the cheapest I could find on Amazon. I just slapped on the heatsink on it. So it doesn't come with the heatsink, I just put one myself. One thing that is important, it needs to be SATA. I'm not sure if you can see there, SATA, not NVMe. The easiest way to check that is these two notches. So it should have two notches, and pretty much any SATA SSD should work. So that's that. You will also need like one or two USB flash drives and a screwdriver. And by the way, you'll probably need a keyboard, and I'm using this one. This is Logitech. Either you'll need either wired keyboard or one that comes with a dongle. The Bluetooth keyboard won't work for this particular task, because we'll need access to BIOS. By the way, to access BIOS, you will probably, well, I'll show you when I'm installing when I'm entering the BIOS. You may need downgrading the BIOS, and I'll put the links and the BIOS in the description, so you can do that. But first things first, let's go ahead and open it up. So to open this device, you will need a screwdriver, and there's these four rubber feet there. So lift the side that's on the inside. So not this side on the inside. This one, this here. There's just four screws in there. So we'll just remove them. And now, if you just pull on this plastic cover, there, it will just come off very easily. And now you need to be careful. Well, you could pull this as well, but I find it easier it will just fall off. Now, this is the back where the ports are. So there's Wi-Fi antenna and card right here. I think here or here. I think it's right here. So just have it in this position, so the back facing you, and very gently lift it up, and the front will fall off. And as you can see, there is the that card and antenna wire. So we need to be careful not to take them off or damage those. So probably the best idea at this point is to remove this card, because it will be in the way. So it's just one screw right there. Lift it up and pull out. There. So we can put this part aside. You won't need it for now. So again, you can put this aside as well. So what we'll be doing here is we'll be first of all installing RAM, as I said. I'll also be replacing thermal paste or thermal pad. There's a thermal pad, I think it's here, on the CPU, and we'll be replacing that. I'll remove the thermal pad and I'll put some good thermal paste there to improve temperatures and all that. One thing also, there's two USB ribbon cables, we need to remove those in order to remove the board. So to remove there's just those black tabs there, so just lift them up. This, I'm not sure, you probably can't see those, maybe on this side. There's a black tab right there, so just lift that with your finger or whatever you have. Actually this one. Let's remove this shield first. We'll have easier access. So there's a few screws, I think 3 screws or 4 screws. This one, and is there any more? This one. Yeah, and this will come off. Just be careful. The fan cable is right here in the way. So that's that, and now we can again just lift the tab, and the cable will just come out. So let's remove the rest of the board. Also, sorry, let's remove the board and remove the rest of the screws. So I think it's this one here. That one there. What else? I'm guessing this one. Nope. This one I think is just the, let me see. Yeah, this might just this plastic part. Are there any other screws? Oh yeah, this one. So be careful not to lose this. Put it in a safe place. I'll put it right here. So now it should come off. Not yet. There's something else. Oh, there's more screws. Can't see any. I'm just wondering, is there a screw underneath this? Probably not. There is one, right there, sorry. So I probably didn't need to remove that. I don't know. Anyway, so now it should come out. Still one more right here. There. So, sorry, I'm just doing it for the first time. By the way, I bought this on eBay, this console. I bought this console on eBay. I'm in Europe and they don't sell those in Europe. So, yeah, it's used, but it's in pretty good shape, and I paid, like, including all the taxes, shipping and all that, slightly over 250 euros. So I think it was worth it. I mean, it was worth it for me. Yeah, so we can remove that bottom shield or bottom part. So these are the RAM modules, and again, to remove those, just pull these tabs just like that, and it will come off. Like that. So let's install the new RAM. So we'll start from the bottom and we go that way. So there's a notch, as you can see, so we can't go wrong with this. Just push them in and push down. And the same thing here. Actually, I'll do it again. Just push in and there. So this is done. Now I need to remove the heatsink. So I will probably have to remove this connector there. be careful with it. Don't pull the connector at the that's attached to the board, because you will destroy it. So I'll probably go and grab some pliers. No, you can remove it with your fingers. So a few screws, and I need a Phillips screwdriver. So let's remove those. This is too small, unfortunately. Will work for this. And again, don't lose this. These have these springs there, so this should come off just like that. As you can see, they've used very thin thermal pad, or whatever, thermal pad, yeah. And I'll just remove that. I'll remove this one as well. So I'll clean this off camera, so that both parts are clean. Nice touch, by the way, just as this one. And I'll put it back together. So I'll use MX5, I think I have some, or MX4, if I can find it, and I'll put it back so that hopefully that will help with cooling. So I'll be back. Okay, so I put it all back together. I've used MX6 actually, and this is supposedly better than MX5. So this is back together. We had the RAM installed. Don't forget to put the fan connector back in. So what I'll do now, I'll install that. I'll install it back in the shell. Actually, I'll do it off camera, install it back in the shell, everything back, including the Wi-Fi card, and then we'll install the SSD, and we'll do some tweaks in the BIOS. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so everything is back on. Again, don't forget about the fan connector, don't forget about these USB connectors. Again, plug them in and push these tabs. Don't forget about this one, this thing. And again, I didn't have to take it off really, because you can just lift it, and there's the screw underneath. But anyway, so the what we need to do now, I'll install these SSD. I think some of these boards come with the screws. This one didn't, so I have my own screws there. Just again, I bought it on Amazon. Just look for M2 screw set or something like that. So I'll just screw this this little tiny one, or the back of it there. Now I'll plug this in there, just like that, and then the screw that goes right in here. Now this is going to be tricky because this one is not magnetic. There. And it sits there nicely. So that's all done. I'll put this cover back on, and it goes like that. Again, be careful with this card, because we certainly don't want to detach the cables right here. I mean, these are soldered, so they can be soldered back on, but if you absolutely need to, you're probably better off just plug them off in here. The small tiny plugs right here. But again, there's really no need for that. So let's plug that back in here. Again, just push it in at the angle, and it should be good. And I move this. That should be good. And then we'll screw it back in, or that screw. Be careful when screwing that screw there. Be careful, because these cables, these wires are kind of in the way, so just move them slightly to the side and then gently and carefully screw that back in. So there, it's done. Make sure the screw is not kind of pinching on the wires. So I'll put it back just like that. Not going to put these covers back on just yet, just in case we need to open it up again. I'll do that at the end. So the kind of hardware modification is done. Now we'll go into the BIOS and we'll do some tweaks to make it run slightly better. Again, don't expect miracles. This is low-end kind of dual-core PC, and people are complaining that, you know, this is useless. This is you know, costs too much. But again, this is just a mini PC. It's not a console. It's even that Atari OS. It's just a Linux. But again, it's Atari. For me, it's worth it. It looks really, really nice. It's a small PC, and surprisingly, there's not too many games, but surprisingly, some of these games are really, really good. At least I think so. Plus, again, you can install Windows, you can install Batocera emulation, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Again, this is just a mini PC. Don't expect miracles. This is not a gaming PC, obviously, but for me, it's well worth the money. And I think for like $300 US or something like that for the set in the US, to me, that's a no-brainer. I just wish I had this, the original one with the teak, I think it's called, the kind of very light color there. But unfortunately, this is, I think, was called limited edition or something. But I don't, unfortunately. As I said, I live in Europe. And but yeah, if anybody has one and wants to donate, I'll be happy to accept it. Anyway, I'll plug it in and we'll go through the BIOS setup. Okay, so I have it all set up here. So HDMI, I have my dongle, keyboard dongle plugged in. And now to power, to get to the BIOS, just push the power button and keep hitting escape. Let me share the screen now. And you should get into the BIOS screen. So this is actually not a BIOS screen itself, but we need to do a few things. First of all, we need to go to Administer Secure Boot, and then type the password in. I'll share the password in the description. And once you're in here, you just hit enter on Enforce Secure Boot and just do disabled. And that's pretty much it. Now you need to press F10, exit saving changes, hit enter, and again keep pressing escape. So now we've disabled secure boot, so we can boot Batocera, for example, or any other OS. Just keep pressing enter. There you go, we are back in. And then this is actually the setup utility, is actual BIOS. Now for the password. If your password, the password that I have in the description doesn't work, try the other one, the one that was on the very old BIOS. If that doesn't work, you will need to go and downgrade the BIOS. And I'll share the link to a document describing exact steps. It's very easy. And the BIOS itself, so you need to downgrade the BIOS, and then you can go through all these steps that I'm just showing you. So let's enter the password. So now that you're in here, first of all, you can disable the supervisor password. So we'll go right here. As you can see, supervisor password is installed, and to remove it, just go to set supervisor password, type the old password, and then hit enter on the enter new password and new password again, and that should be disabled now. Now to do those tweaks, we need to go into AMD CBS, then UMC common options, then DDR common options, then DRAM timing options, then accept, then overclock, enable, and then set memory clock speed. These numbers are kind of in half speed, so in order to set it to 3200 megahertz, we need to select 1600. So that's what we'll do right now. We can get out of this now using escape, and then we need to go to NBIO common options, and then GFX configuration, integrated graphics controller forces, and then UMA mode, UMA specified, and then UMA frame buffer size. We have 16 gig of RAM, so 4 gig should be kind of sweet spot. So this is the amount of memory of RAM that this that the card integrated graphics will use. Now, while in here we go to system configuration as well, and we'll change the I think originally it was, I'm not sure if I changed it, it was 35, what is it, 45. I think in some of these it was 35 watts, 45, you can change it to 54. I'll be on the safe side and leave it at 45, but again you can change TDP to 54 watts, well, increase, which will increase TDP. It will run slightly faster and you know, longer on the higher megahertz. I'll leave it as it is, just to be safe. And that's pretty much it. No, we don't want to discard the changes, and we press F10 again, or actually go exit here in the menu and exit saving changes. And that should be it for the BIOS setup. So exit saving changes, yes. And again, just to test if your password was disabled, you can go back, pressing escape, you can go back to setup and try entering setup utility. So that's all for this part. So all the hardware upgrades have been done. The BIOS tweaks also done, secure boot disabled. So I think I'll end this video at this point, and I'll do a new one where I'll show you all the installs. So I'll post those videos at the same time, so they will both be available, and I'll link the other one right there, I think, somewhere there. So that's it for today. Thank you.